Hey YouTube, Mark Hoffman here, and today I am going to be doing my review slash follow-up on the Chris Reeve Knives Small Inkosi. Now, I have started carrying this once again. When I bought it, I carried it for quite a while, then put it away, then carried it again, and now I've been carrying it for about a month. And it's been about a month strictly I've been carrying this in my pocket. And there are a few things I want to cover that I like about the knife, but I want to first talk about what is great about this knife. Now, this knife is made by Chris Reeve Knives, and it is built and put together in the highest specifications. It has the highest specifications of any knife that I know of when it comes to its machining, its tolerances, anything like that. For me, I think this has the highest spec list on the market. When it comes to the scales, the way they're fitted, the way everything is put together, there is no room for any error. It is all perfect. Putting this thing back together, taking it apart is a breeze, and you really feel it when you do it. So first I want to just show you the handle scales. You have this bead blasted titanium scales here, and then you have an Allen key pivot here and an Allen key pivot here, and then you have the same on the back for the rest of the other screws. And the construction on this is just solid. You have a titanium frame lock, which is very, very strong. It has kind of loosened up over time, but it is still very strong. It takes a lot of pressure to get that across there. But to be clear, this has a detent ball and a frame lock ball. So the ball on this knife, if I can get it, let me see if I can show some light in here. If you take a look here, you can see the detent ball that is in there, and it's still not really showing up. Let me go a little bit brighter. You can see that detent ball there. That is actually going to be your frame lock system of impact and your detent ball. And to be honest, this whole setup is really, really nice because you're not dealing with a traditional detent system. When you deal with a traditional detent system, you're going to feel a kathunk and then the lock. And the kathunk is basically the blade passing by the detent and then hitting the frame of the titanium or liner lock and then escaping it, and that would be the thunk of it locking. On this, it's actually going to be like sliding off of it and then locking. So you really don't even have a system here where you feel the detent ball escape or move. It is primarily just slides into place and it is locked, and it's incredibly smooth. It's very hard to describe how that feels and how that all interacts, but I just have to say it is pretty much like glass acting on glass. Now, there are a few aspects of this handle that are very interesting to me, and not only are they going to be these points of contact here where they've actually raised them just a little bit so they're still strong and sturdy and they're not weakened or thinned, but we have back here a small cutout for your lanyard knot to rest in. And this only came to my notice when I actually reattached this black lanyard here, and you can see that the knot ends fit right into that section, and that is really, really nice. It allows these to lay down flat, lay down in correspondence to the knife handle instead of poking up like that, because if that was not there, it would be about here in its orientation. So that is really nice. Now, when it comes to the finger grooves, I have a hit or miss on this knife. Sometimes when I grab it and I'm using it, but when I hold it and it just rests like this, it's very comfortable. You can do 1 cut, 2 cut, 3 cut, and then put it away. But when it comes to really heavy use and you're really gearing down on it, after doing that, you really start to feel this area here because it's so small, and you really start to feel the pocket clip. There's really no way around it, but it's just going to feel like a hot spot. Even right now, I'm noticing the pocket clip. So that's kind of a downside. To be honest, I wish they would just have raised this up a little more like that, further back actually, and then done away with this here and just actually made this flow right into this line here. So I think that would have been a little more comfortable. You wouldn't have to worry about that. You could even choke back if you had to, have some reach. But for me, it's good, but it's not perfect. Now you can choke up a little bit and do some fine cutting, but you don't have a lot of room. Now when it comes to the blade, you're dealing with S45VN. So far, I like it, but I have found it to accommodate a coarse medium edge than a mere polished edge. Now on this knife, I have sharpened it to 1,000 grit edge here, and I think it does fine with this edge, but I prefer a rougher edge on this knife. Now the only reason I've gone this fine is because primarily when I'm using this knife, I'm cutting open fertilizer bags. I'm cutting open a lot of bags like jelly bags, a lot of polymer bags. And when it comes to those, you don't really need a coarse edge. You just need a really nice fine razor edge, and it will just slice through that. So for me, that's where I've really gone with this edge here. Now when it comes to the next sharpening on this knife, I may go a little rougher. Now when it comes to the thumb stud, I expected this, but I'm a little sad about it. The anodizing is almost completely gone, and it's almost completely gone on the opposite side as well, which, I mean, it's unfortunate. You're going to use it. I've been using this knife for a while, and that's just going to rub off, but it kind of stinks that it is going to, because really that's the only blue accent on this whole entire knife. For me, I find the thumb studs to be rather sharp. The unfortunate thing is they don't really protrude out from the handle. They really do not. You don't have anything, when you slide this way, you don't have anything that catches onto your thumb. You really have to go down into this cavity here and grab it, and there you go. So for me, I think that's a little bit of a bummer. I mean, I'm so used to these thumb studs being so proud, but if you hold it like this, you kind of pinch, and then you push it against these two fingers, comes out just fine. There's other techniques where you put your finger up here and you just roll it out. You can flick this. I haven't loosened this up enough to do that. I just don't feel the need to do that flick motion with a knife this small. Usually my cuts are very concentrated, very controlled, and I don't really need this knife to be opened that quick. Now when it comes to the grind, this grind is fantastic. It's a very nice hollow grind. It does a great job cutting through cheese, vegetables, apples, a lot of those things. But when it comes to the tougher materials like heavy duty piping, and I'm not talking plastic piping, rubber piping, or even wires, it doesn't do a good job cutting through that. I have cut copper and very thin steel wiring, and it does a good job cutting through that, but when it comes to that really thick plasticky gel stuff, it kind of gets caught. I've found that it gets caught in that type of stuff. It does a great job cutting through plastics like plastic bags, bag material, canvas. I've cut quite a few bags of not only cement but fertilizer, and I mean it does a great job. It will do the job just fine. The one thing for me that I have found that I like and don't like, okay, I do like the lanyard, okay. This is my lanyard. I put this on there, but I put it in black just to replicate what it came with. I do like the lanyard, but I still wish this may have been a little lower, because in hand, this lanyard is really pushing up against you. Now, it does give you a lot of cushioning against this corner and maybe even something else to hold on to. But when it comes to the in the hand grip, you have a lot of mass here pushing into your palm. I have used this a lot without the lanyard, but I just prefer having the lanyard, because sometimes I'm sitting down, and pulling this knife out when you're sitting down is not really that easy to do, even if you have this much material poking out of your pocket. So having this lanyard really just helps me pull it out and then cut whatever I need to cut that might be on my desk, and then I put it away. So it's really the only reason I've added the lanyard. I like it. I just wish it was executed a little bit better, but I don't see Chris Reeve changing that at all. Now, when it comes to the steel, S45 VN, like I said, I find it to be a little bit better with a rough edge, but when it comes to its polished edge, it's fine. I mean, I don't usually go for polished edges. It's just not my thing. I have it on a lot of my knives, but it's only because I've been experimenting with it to see how the steels I have deal with it. S45 VN is a great development. It's a development that's been built off of S35 VN, and it's supposed to be just a little bit tougher. And it's supposed to be a little easier to sharpen, which this is very easy to sharpen. It's not difficult, especially if you can get that primary bevel done with a diamond stone, and then you just start going to higher and higher grits. It sharpens up great. But I don't see Chris Reeve changing from S35 or S45. I don't see them using like 20 CV, because really these knives, even though this is a $375 knife, they are selling these knives to people that might just want a damn good knife, but they don't really care about sharpening. God forbid I pull this thing through a pull-through sharpener, but if I had to, I think the steel would sharpen up fine. It'd be a coarse, very rough and molested edge, but it would still be able to be done. If you had like S110V in this thing, I don't think the everyday person could do it. Now, the Rockwell on this is supposed to be about 59 to 58, whereas a lot of people have said that S45 VN should be at like 60. I don't agree with that. I think the softer it is, the more torturous you can be with the knife. And for me, that has been proven time and time again. I'd prefer it to be a little softer, and then in the field I can strop it up rather than it being very, very hard. So for me, this has been a very good steel. I really do enjoy it. However, if they gave us a few options, that would probably be nice. And if it's a pain in the butt to have to produce all those different option of blades, then maybe just charge a little extra money on top of what you want and offer that as an option. Maybe give 3 different types of steel options, S45, 20 CV, and maybe, I don't know, K390. I mean, it would be very interesting to see that, but I don't think Chris Reeve will be doing that. They really try to stick to one steel because it really makes life easier. They're able to keep track of all these steels, which is usually just S45, and then they are able to just produce it, and everything can be very smoothly handled. That's at least what I've heard from Tim Reeve. Now, this knife is a fantastic knife. Now, this is the first Chris Reeve knife I've ever bought, and would I have bought this one if I could go back in time? Personally, yes. It's different than a small Sebenza, and I mean it's different enough that when you have a large Sebenza, you can have this kind of different looking knife that's smaller, and then have the Sebenza that's going to be that classic shape, that classic style that a lot of people know, and you can still say, okay, this is a Chris Reeve and this is a Chris Reeve, but it's at least something different. I'm glad that I didn't go for the small Sebenza, because then I probably wouldn't have gone for the full-sized Sebenza in the end. So at the very end of the day, this knife is very, very good. It is a small knife, don't get me wrong. It is about a 2.6-inch blade. I will correct that if I'm wrong. Here, it'll be put right there, the real measurement, but I'm just taking a guess. So it's a very slim, very small blade, but this is one of the reasons why I chose it. This emulates what I usually carry, and that is usually some kind of Victorinox. So when it comes to a Victorinox, this is an 84 millimeter Victorinox, and you can see here that it's not much bigger than an 84 millimeter blade. So for me, that keeps my pockets happy, because I'm very used to this size knife, this size blade, and really, in all honesty, this is all you really need. It'll cut your cheese, it'll cut your rope, it will cut a lot of things, and it will still do it very well. So this is my follow-up, my review on this knife. I am probably going to start on my follow-up reviews adding some more clips of me maybe using the knife, maybe me sharpening the knife, or me using the knife and adding them up here in the corner, but I just really don't think that adds too much to these follow-ups. I will do them if you guys push for them and comment down below that you might want to see that, but for me, they just don't really add a lot, because you are not the one that is going to be holding this knife and using it. And when you see somebody else use it and cut something open, I mean, it's a knife. It's going to cut something open. I can go to the dollar store and get a really cruddy knife and cut a bag open probably just as well. So for me, I don't think that offers a lot. So might be doing that in the future, but till then, this is how I have done this follow-up, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Now, personally, is this knife worth it? I mentioned that I could go to the dollar store and get a knife that would probably do the same job, but I think this knife pays its weight in gold. It really definitely offers more than just its $375 price range. You get an amazing warranty. You can send this into Chris Reeve, and they will, for 20 bucks, completely restore your knife, redo everything, redo the screws, sharpen your knife, re-bead blast everything, and then they'll ship it back to you, and it will be like it was brand new from the factory. They can do that. They can replace your blades, and if anything were to happen that maybe caused this to fail and it wasn't your fault, it was the knife's, I'm quite sure they would probably replace it. I'm not quite sure if they would actually do that, but their warranty is some of the best warranty in the business right now. So that is definitely something that you're going to be buying into. And then you're also buying into Tim Reeve. Tim Reeve is Chris Reeve's son, and he has taken over the company mostly. Him and his mother both run the company, and he seems very keen on keeping this company alive, and he's a very young man. So you can look at that and say to yourself, this company will be around for quite a while, and that means there will always be somebody that will be able to repair or take care of this knife for you. So thought you guys would enjoy this overview and this review, this overall review of this knife. If you did, let me know in the comments. Until the next one, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.